Welcome to the Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors podcast, your home for the latest products and news in the shooting sports, hunting, and the great outdoors. And now, here are your hosts, Jake Coffin and Jason Westmoreland.
Hey everybody, Jake and Jason here, coming at you live from
Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors in beautiful Anderson, Texas.
That's the place.
It is beautiful, and I am full. We just had a wonderful little Mexican food lunch at Juan and Linda's in downtown, the big downtown Anderson, Texas.
So in downtown, you have basically three wonderful options.
Yeah, you got cots.
I'm sorry, I take it back. There's four.
So you got cots, which is good old home cooking.
Ooh, that stick to your rib type food.
Juan and Linda's, which is exquisite Tex-Mex. Mm-hmm. You got Subway.
Which there's always a Subway. Then
Hunt Brothers Pizza.
Gas station food.
Yeah.
You can never rule out gas station
Go in
food.
there and get the bomb burrito, warm it up in the microwave. Ooh.
Every time. And that's
And they got egg rolls too.
and
that are dangerous.
pro move on this. If you get the bomb burrito, get back in the truck, lock the windows, and just make them suffer.
Oh, it's good times. But we chose one of Linda's today, and I'm happy we did. We're good. So if we're a little belchy,
You can never go wrong with Tex-Mex. It's always good every time.
And we talked a lot about what we were going to talk about today.
Very, very unique topic in their own way. Very Southeast Texas, very southern in its own
Very
way.
southern.
Yeah.
But before we get started on it, let's ask everybody to like and subscribe if you're out there in podcast world or YouTube land or any of that.
In the world of the internets.
And of course, if you get the opportunity to tell your friends about it, we appreciate it.
On all the platforms, our Facebook, our Instagram, our TikTok, our YouTube, our podcast.
Yep.
All the places.
Podcast is on all the platforms.
Because once again, we're getting throttled and shadow banned and
Well, we're permanently banned off Facebook. So
yeah. Well, the original page, the second
original.
page is already getting hits again.
yeah, so it'll be down in a short period of time.
It's disappointing how little free speech there truly is out there.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm not saying that we're out there saying something that's inappropriate,
Never
or
were.
racist or controversial.
We put photos of guns and said the model, and that was it. We never said for sale. We never said call. We said this is what it is. It could be any pay, and that goes into. I'm sure everybody who's listening or watching. Now I don't know if you've noticed, but if you go to any firearms manufacturer site, anything that has to do with firearms, you have to tell them that you're over 18 before you can even go in.
Yep.
When I was a kid, my favorite thing in the world to do was get gun magazines,
Oh, absolutely.
and now they're treating them like pornography.
Oh yeah. They're in the little black sleeve.
Yep.
They're behind the camera. Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's it's a
Unfortunate sign of the times, maybe.
it is it's ignorant. It's ignorant.
Ignorant.
Don't be ignorant. But anyways, enough negativity. Enough about that.
So
What's
this
going on?
gonna
Let's
be
talk
a
about what's going
fun
on in
podcast.
our world. What we like to do this time of year: get a little cheeky,
So
get up to the shenanigans, the southern shenanigans.
This is the time of year stuff gets kind of fun because you get bored. You keep doing the same thing. Gotta spice it up for a little variety, the spice of life.
And
right?
if you want to do the most hardcore redneck hunting you could do, is going for bullfrogs and alligators.
bullfrog, good eating.
Oh, they are. They are. And they are, they're fun to hunt. That's what, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love them. I can eat a sack full of them, but it's getting them that makes it different because
It's the adventure.
yeah, you have to go into a shady place to get it. So all the places like your parents told you not to go to when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The tall grass, the
Swampy,
yeah,
nasty,
snaky. That's what makes it awesome. So you need to and you need to find bigger places. I mean, little ponds. Don't worry. I've got like my pond at the house, and I might get 10 or 12 good eating size bullfrogs. And for those of y'all listening who don't know, an eating size bullfrog is about 3 to 4 pounds. It's big.
That's a huge frog.
It is. So if you were to stretch its legs out from the tip of the nose to the tip of the toes,
And when you say stretch like
yeah, long
pull,
ways.
like-
Yeah. You're looking at about 20 inches.
yeah, they're big.
They're huge, and they are delicious.
But the other fun part about where you find good bullfrogs, you also find
Good alligators.
good alligators.
Yep.
And there's few things better than fried alligator tail.
Oh my gosh. Or
Like,
barbecue.
Well, that's what we did for.
Alligator kebabs.
Well, that's what we did for Thanksgiving this year.
Alligator scampi. Coconut alligator.
Really?
I don't know.
I'm sure.
I'm doing my bubble gum.
Oh, I know what you're doing.
Ooh, now I want to try coconut alligator.
That's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
But like for Thanksgiving this year, we got a Bout and stuffed alligator, bacon wrapped, and
Here
we
at the
threw
store.
it on the pit. It was crazy good.
It was so good. That was. Thank you, BCS Crawfish. That was amazing.
And a fun idea.
And a really fun idea. So you look to the shady spots like that. Now there's, I guess, 2 real methods to getting the alligators and the.
So do we want to do them together or want to break them apart?
Man, they're so similar, but we kind of do them together.
Okay.
So I mean, it's either in the water or out of the water. So are you in a boat, a little John boat or a P-row? For those of you who don't know what a P-row is, it's like a shallow base canoe.
Yeah. You kind of pull along with.
Yeah, tips over pretty easy, but that's only if you get wild.
Yep.
Or and you can walk around the edges. And a lot of like old school us, we just use like a spotlight. And for the bullfrogs,
Because the something about that bright light, kind of like a moth to a flame, it stuns them.
yeah, it makes them freeze. And if you're quiet and quick enough, you can get them. And you get them with either a gig that looks kind of like a flounder gig, has like spear points on it, or there's the old school cool gigs that I grew up with, and like it has like 4 prongs in the center, and it's spring loaded, and you open the outside prongs up,
Okay.
and then when it
Grabs them.
the center prong hits something, it closes the outside prongs, and just like he said, it grabs them. And then there's a more modern method of taking a suppressed 22 with a light on it and a red dot. And
See, that's when it gets fun.
it's all fun.
So the fun thing about frog gigging is that it's like everything that we kind of have a constant theme. If you listen to us, it's about having a good time with your buddies. That you can't just go out and catch some frogs, because that gets boring after a little bit. Because you start getting good at it, you gotta get it down. You have to start upping that difficulty level.
No, it's never been easy for me, but it's always been fun.
So it's always a good time because you can get out there and you get that spotlight, you can see those eyes, and you get your buddy in the front with the little 22 pistol with the suppressor on it. As he starts getting lined up, ready to start shooting, seeing how you're in the back of a skinny 14-foot John boat, you just start rocking that sucker back and forth. And so now he's all unstable up front. He gets shaky. He can't get that good side picture, and he might miss. He might be all right.
So
Ups the difficulty level.
yeah, and you don't want to tip the boat over because you got your beer in there, potentially, if you're that type of person. Allegedly. And then there's always the other the thought, especially if you got somebody who's new to the sport and is afraid of alligators, because the whole time you're out there shining around, there's there's alligator eyes everywhere, and
Especially in Southeast Texas.
some of them get real close to the boat. They're curious, especially if you've got some sloshing going around, getting a frog in. They'll come in and try to grab it from you. So it can be, when you start rocking that boat a little bit, they can get a little nervous and panic a little bit, which is pretty dang funny. So gigging is really, and shooting, I guess, is really the only two. I know
Gigging is the primary way.
you could, I guess, do it with a bow. I mean, I know some guys that'll take a bow to do anything.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
I don't know anybody.
I've seen them. They'll dove hunt with.
Yep.
Yeah,
So most of the folks that I know that do it, the primarily is the gig,
gigging. Yep.
and then followed by shooting them, which is I think they're just looking for something fun to shoot.
It is. So the downside with shooting them is you got to do it either when they're on the bank or right next to the bank, because they're even 6 inches, 8 inches off into the water, and you shoot them. A lot of times they'll sink really quick. So then you got to get over there and shove your hand down in this water that is snaky. And I mean, that's part of the fun of it.
I know a couple of guys that try to up the ante on it, and they're not in a boat. They're just kind of slow walking on the shoreline, and they'll use their hand.
I've done it
real quick.
Oh yeah. As a kid, man, that's fun. It's always fun. It's exciting. It's terrifying.
You always have that it's kind of like you're diving for a hard hit baseball or something. Because by the time you lunge, the light moves, they jump. You have to time it just perfect.
Yeah. most effective for me is going to be that handheld light. Have a buddy holding the light, and then of course you have your headlamps. You're covered in deep woods off.
Just take a bath in it because there's going to be mosquitoes.
Oh, where you're at there, that is their breeding grounds for real. And you get in there, and some people wear waders. I never have. I wear high rubber boots. Again, snaky.
Just realize you're going to get wet and muddy and nasty.
Oh,
just go in and accept
You're going to love every minute of it. So I went out. I got ahead of myself. I guess let's talk about the alligator part of it. So the legal means for alligator, you could do, most people in Texas do a line, and they, you tie it off the shore, put your big stinky piece of chicken dangling about 6 inches, 8 inches above the water. And
depends how big you're trying to target.
Yeah, if you're trying to get larger ones, the higher you go.
I've always been told about 1 inch a foot.
Yeah.
The rule of thumb.
Yeah. I can see that. I went out last year. Actually, Daniel and I went out last year. I think we caught 8 alligators, and we were with a commercial guy, so we were able to do this. And we basically just assisted him. He had already laid out the lines. We just went and picked them all up. And but none of them were over 8 foot. Of course, he said he showed me the pictures. The day before, he got a 13-foot, 2-inch monster.
That's kind of the story of our booked hunts, right? You should have been here yesterday.
You should have been here yesterday. Every time they'll show you the picture and it's dated, and you're like, "Yep, I should have been here yesterday. Couldn't have been, but should have." Every once in a while, it pans out. But so what a lot of people will do. Anybody who's seen the television series or whatever, Swamp People or.
They do make it a lot more
animated?
Yes, there you go. That's what I was looking for. Then it really is. Because if you get one on a limb line, by the time you come back and check it, they're pretty wore out. And if they're down underneath the water, when you pull it up, it's kind of like if you've ever hooked a big, like you're fishing a crankbait and you catch you snag a big limb, but you're able to get it kind of break free, and there's that kind of that heavy, just constant pressure you pull up. That's what it feels like. I've never had one come up just thrashing around.
We did catch one fresh one last year. He had not been hooked long, and he was. It's just him trying to jerk you back in, but he's underwater, so it's smoother. It's not like that.
Yeah,
it's manageable.
When they're sitting there thrashing, I think they do a little bit of prodding to make that happen.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible, but
so yeah. And for me, for the longest time, I wasn't interested in. So when I was a kid, alligator hunting, cool. Always loved frog gigging. But then I moved down to Florida, down to the Keys.
There's a couple of them there.
There are a couple of them there. And so much so while I was going to college, I worked at a place called, and it's still there, Everglades Safari Park. And I was an airboat captain and put on alligator shows. And I'd get out there and wrestle with the alligators and for tips. And we had a cool little arena. And but when I did that, day after day after day, when I moved back to Texas, really alligators weren't a priority on my list. I was a little burnt out with them after doing that for years. And but now I'm back in it. It's mainly just because of the meat. They're so good. So anyways, you line them, you get them on the line, you pull them up in the boat or off the shore, and you take a 22 or something and just right in the back of the head.
There's behind the eyeballs about, I don't know what, depending how big it is, inch or two.
Yeah, there's a little divot there, like
there's
the base of the skull
and
almost.
It's a soft spot like on a baby.
Yep.
And then you just put a little 22 there, or I've done it with a pocket knife and and it's instant, it's clean, it's ethical. It's the way to put down an alligator.
And then pull them in the boat or pull them up on shore and rock and roll. With frogs, as you gig them, frogs have a lot of nerves, which makes it even more fun. If you've never gone, you need to go. It's fun, but even more so, taking people who've never been is just the best thing in the world. Because you throw these things in a sack, and they're big. They're trying to jump around, which they continue to do
Post-mortem.
even after you clean them and skin them. If you throw them in a frying pan, they will try to jump out.
Or pour a little salt on them. I always like to do that.
Yeah, it's. But good Lord, it's good. What would you say it tastes like?
Well, according to my notes here, I'm not supposed to say chicken.
You're not supposed to say chicken. It doesn't taste like chicken. It's got its own.
So it does. It has its own flavor.
It looks like chicken.
It does look like chicken, but it doesn't. It's not fishy like you think.
No, it's hard to say. I wouldn't say earthy. You got to try it.
Tastes like frog.
It tastes like frog. That's the truth.
But not in a bad way. Like
No.
Like if you ever like smelled a frog,
No,
or
they
like,
stink.
like a fish, you're like, oh.
Yeah. And
You know what? I'd say kind of like a catfish, like a yellow cat.
yeah. You're probably not too far off.
Yeah.
I can see that. And then, of course, it matters how you cook them too. You can grill them. A lot of people like to fry them. That's pretty traditional. We've done it on the pit before. I mean, just like you can cook any piece of meat, you can do the same with those. And
You kind of cook the same way you cook chicken.
yeah, and you can season it just however, bread it, whatever. But they're good and
think
they're big.
I've either had them. I've had barbecued, like put barbecue sauce on like you would like a drumette.
Yeah,
But for the most part, they're fried.
yeah. They and I'll be honest with you, the worst part of this whole experience, the only negative.
It looks like the bottom half of a frog.
Well, that and skinning frog sucks because you're tired. It's normally 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. in the morning.
You've been out there all night.
And then you got to get a pair of pliers and a knife and pull the skin off. And it stinks and it's a gross job, but it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
I promise you. If you have 30 frogs in a sack and you peel them by the end of the night, you don't want to mess with them again for a while, but good Lord, they're nice to eat.
Make a heck of a good meal, that's for sure.
And alligators are delicious, huge, big chunks of meat in that tail and those hind legs. If it's big enough, there's some other places you can get meat from, but
I think the back scrapping them pretty dang good.
yeah. The trick with alligators is they go bad crazy quick. So if you're going out after that, that's got to be your primary your target. And you're going after one.
Yeah, you get off the water.
You
go
get off the
it
water and clean it up.
in a hurry.
Which it's not rocket scientist unless you're trying to save the hide on an alligator. It's not hard to get it off of them.
When you do it, do you cut down the belly or go down the back?
It depends. If I'm trying to save it, I'll go down the back. If I want the hide, otherwise I leave the belly intact and I go from the buttle.
Oh yeah.
And just run up the legs. Depends on the size. Like I said, last year out of 8, everyone we got was 8 foot and under. So there's not a lot of meat in other places. 2 years.
I always come up the belly, and that way, kind of like you would an alligator gar, you can just roll it off.
Yeah.
Easy that way.
Alligator gar's good too. Garbouilles. But the reason we thought this would be such a good topic is because there are so many funny, great stories that we had. We were talking about that involve this.
Oh yeah.
And I'll start because my favorite one, recent one, was 2 years ago. I harvested an alligator, and while I was with a buddy, and as we are coming in on the Little John boat, paddling in, a for real cold front, April cold front blew in, and like it's in the 40s. So first of all, the alligator, after I got him in the boat, came back alive, which happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tapped him again, used subsonic 22, so I'm not worried about it going all the way through into the John boat. But threw him in the back of my truck, and it was cold. It was raining. It was pouring down rain. We're shivering. I'm like, man, he's going to be fine. So I grabbed him, and of course I get home. It's 2 a.m. And I didn't want to leave him in the back of the truck because I was worried about cats and raccoons and stuff like that. So I put him on the front porch,
Okay.
as you would.
Yeah.
It's raining. He's going to be fine.
It's cold enough. Yeah.
And,
That's the big thing is since the hide's so thick, and because they don't, the way they thermoregulate their body, they'll go to room temperature in a hurry. And if it's 80, 90 degrees outside, that meat gets super hot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Quick. It stinks.
All right, so it's 40 degrees outside.
40 degrees outside, maybe 38. And so he's not going anywhere. Well, the thing was, I don't think I ever put a really good shot, hit him right where I was supposed to. I think it was just so cold, he was lethargic.
Oh, that happens.
So I tossed him up on the front porch, about an 8-foot alligator, and went in, got a shower, went to bed. Neglecting, forgetting, wasn't really thinking about it, to tell my wife there was a 8-foot alligator on the front porch. I woke up the next morning about the time she did. I think she was getting a shower, and I laid there, and as a husband would, I grin. Because she's going to open the door, and there's going to be an 8-foot alligator on the porch, and I'm going to hear her scream, and it's just going to be funny. And I hear her go out the front door, and nothing. Just total disappointment. mean, she's been married to me a long time. It takes a lot to shake her, but I'm like, I expected a little more than that. She's not a fan of the reptiles. And I call her and I'm like, hey, I think it was my day off, and I stayed out till 4 a.m. So I'm laying there and I'm like, nothing weird on the porch. And she's like, yeah, I meant to ask you about that. What's all that? There's a bunch of blood on the front porch. What did you do? I was like, what? She's like, yeah.
There's supposed to be something else.
Yeah, there's a bunch of blood on the front porch. And it's not a big front porch. We live in a mobile home, so I didn't figure she could lose an 8-foot alligator. And sure enough, I walk outside, and there's no alligator on the porch. Gone. So he got one last laugh on me in that he got into my yard, and instead of, doing the right thing and just walking towards a fence and stopping there or something, he went under my house.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. So, which is skirted. So it had one little open spot. He decided to go. So I had to climb under a mobile home with a 22 and a flashlight and shoot an 8-foot long alligator and then pull him out.
Oh.
So I was trying to be funny, thought I'd scare the wife, and I wound up just creating an insane amount of work for myself. But it was still a lot of fun.
Well, see, it's funny that one of my favorite alligator stories also involves my wife.
Nice.
So
as they do.
So this is back when I was working for Parks and Wildlife, and one of our jobs, I'd get phone calls from now and then that someone has an alligator in a swimming pool or a little pond at the house or something, right? And this lady calls me, and let me set the stage. Let me paint a picture in your mind. At the time, we were renting a house that was maybe 1,000 square feet. It's actually where Brittany lives now, and my wife, we had just moved here, so Samantha would have been 3, and I think she was pregnant with Travis. She was pretty big pregnant with Travis, I remember. Either way. So I take this call, and we go to this lady's house, and she has like this little koi fish pond thing. There's a 4-foot alligator in it. 3.5, 4 foot. Nothing big. I go over there. I was like, oh, yeah, you got an alligator. And so, it wasn't that big, and I just walked over and just grabbed it by the tail, pulled it out, and taped his beak shut, and taped his little hands behind his back. That way he can't hop out of my truck. I was going to go dispose of it. Just let it loose in the Navasota River. But, and let me pause. Probably the best gift I ever got, because the lady was so happy I got rid of that alligator for her. She gave me 3 big mason jars of Mayhaw jelly.
Ooh, nice.
I know how it's very
nice.
Either way, so now
that's country.
So now, as the loving, caring husband that I am, I have a 4-foot little alligator. And I was like, what can I do with this alligator? So I call my wife. I go, hey, what are you doing? She goes, well, about to take a shower. I was like, oh, that's cool. Well, I'm just working, so I just want to see it, check in, say hi, hang up the phone. And I'm like,
thank you, God.
Yeah, I'm like 15 minutes down the road.
I spent my whole life prepared to this one moment. It all comes to this.
So I come screaming home with this little alligator, and I guess she either didn't get in the shower or got out of the shower quick enough that she heard me pull up. And so as I have an alligator, there's just a beak taped in one hand, I'm opening up the door because my plan was to just toss it in the living room.
Oh, you're a better man than me.
Shut the door.
Oh, I was thinking about throwing it in the shower.
Oh, no. I want her to come out and just be like this alligator in the living room and just listen to. I want to be like the cartoons, like when like a cat and a dog would fight, like the whole house would bounce around. Like that's what I had visioned in my mind. But she had the door open, has storm door, right? The glass one. And she saw me with this alligator, and I heard a scream and a slam, and she barricaded herself in the bedroom. So I got pretty close to what I wanted, but not quite. So that's one of my favorite.
I did a good one, and I never got to see what happened with it.
Oh,
it was. I used to occasionally film or be a part of watching and helping out with a TV show that was on MTV and stuff. They did crazy things, and they were filming a lot in the Everglades, and one day they had all the executives come out, and they were having a party on what they called a hammock, which are the islands out there. And it was our job to go and just kind of clean up, make sure it was cool for them, and we went out on the airboats and did so. And, of course, it's basically an island, so there's no running water, so they have outhouses. Mm-hmm. And we cleaned them up real nice, and I was going to be the last one to leave. And as I'm leaving, there's about that same size alligator, about a 4-foot alligator, there that didn't look like he had anything going on at the moment. So I just, figured me and him could come up with something funny.
Yeah.
So to preface this, I'd met a couple of these TV producer executives, not my kind of people, not very polite.
Oh.
Surprising.
Yeah.
So before I hopped on my boat, I talked said Alligator into going into the outhouse and just left him there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good place for him. Keeps him safe.
Yeah. And still to this day, I gotta wonder that person's reaction. First of all, probably not real happy to be out there on the island. Anyways, they were all wearing white shirts and real executives, and it was all catered.
Yeah.
But the old Alligator in the outhouse. That's a classic.
So
tried and true.
My favorite, hands down, my favorite alligator story involves you and a good friend of mine, ours, that works here from time to time, Mr. Jeremy Beeson.
I forgot it. Oh, that's bad.
And this video's out
going
there.
there.
This video's out there on YouTube if you can find it. If you can find it, let me know. I've been trying to find it. Challenge. Anyways, so for his birthday, he wanted to go shoot some guns and drive around, just have some
Blow
fun.
up some tannerite, drink whiskey and get silly.
Just bro out. So we're out on this ranch, friend gave us access to just be boys, right? And we've been shooting, drinking whiskey and having fun for a while. We're driving around trying to find some bigs, and we've had our fair share of brown water. And
the guns were up by then. We did it in the order he said. We shot, and then we cracked a bottle of whiskey.
And we knew that ahead of time.
Yep.
And so we're driving around, just having fun, just enjoying life, just living in the moment. And I don't know exactly how we got to this.
Oh, I remember it distinctly.
Well, I don't know what started the challenge.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, sacrilege. So we're driving and we're talking about alligators and that you'd seen alligators on that property before.
Oh, yeah.
And I said in my experience, because I used to wrestle alligators, I said, you think, alligators aren't anything. They're pussycats. It's crocodiles you got to really watch out for. Like they can actually, if you were to hop on a crocodile, they can reach around and grab a piece of chicken off like their front shoulders.
Oh, wow.
They're that limber and they're 10 times as fast. They're really aggressive. They want to eat you, whereas an alligator typically doesn't.
Yeah.
But there's such a difference in speed and aggression and everything. Crocodiles are intimidating. And that's when I said, and anybody can say what they want about the crocodile hunter, but as somebody who's done it before and been there and had to hop on top of a crocodile and stuff, he's next level. Like nobody can compete. And this person, Jeremy, said, something along the lines of, I think the crocodile hunter is BS.
Yep. He talked bad about Steve Irwin.
He did.
You're not going to talk about him like that.
And Jake, we're in the little Jeep or whatever, we're cruising around on this ranch and he just locks the brakes up.
Well, Jeremy goes, he's such a bad word. I'm not going to say the P word.
He did say that word.
That I'd let an alligator bite me, and it wouldn't do nothing. And I go, really? I said, put your money where your mouth is, and he goes, I said, I bet you if you can catch an 18 to 24 inch alligator, I'd let it bite me on.
Very specific. No. Remember? So he said, I let it bite me, and you're like, really? And he didn't know that I used to do this for a living for a while,
and I knew where every alligator on that property is.
And we were so both at the same time like, okay. He's like, oh, hold on, we gotta set some ground rules. So that's what he said.
It said 18 to 24 inches.
And
he let it bite him on
the nipple, the
nipple.
titty.
Yep.
The aureola.
And so at that point, we're driving a Ranger, and I just lock it. I mean, like skid to a stop. I go, bet. He goes, bet. We shook hands. So that was a grown man deal.
When you got some whiskey in you, and
the problem was, I think he expected us to like drive around and look for one. But I was so familiar with this property, I called it the nursery because that's where all the babies lived. It was like this. There was this culvert that went through, and it was just this little bit of water backed up, and that's just happened to always be the babies. And whenever I took friends out there, wanted to see the alligators, I'd go catch like the little, 6, 12, 14 inches, the babies.
Yeah.
The ones that like that guy yelp,
Yeah.
And
No.
exactly. Yeah. And I let him hold baby alligator, right? And I was like, you screwed up. And so we drive over there, and I was like, right here. And Jason looks, and we shine. He goes, got it. And
so I've never been to this spot before, but it has really, really tall cattails. But I can tell there's a creek going back. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I disappear. I do my little Homer Simpson into the bushes. I go in, and there's a bunch of alligators, all different sizes, and I'm wading in about, I don't know, it's not chest deep, maybe waist deep water, and they're everywhere. And they're from the 8 inches to 4, 5, 6 feet. And so I'm walking through, and I'm being selective. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. And I can hear Jeremy back there asking you. He's like, "What's he doing?"
Like we're getting alligator.
He's getting the right one.
Yeah.
And
you gave us parameters. We're shopping.
And at first, you could tell he doesn't think we're serious. And
then the alcohol, like time plus alcohol equals bad decisions thing. Like it's starting to, like the math is adding up in his head.
And then I see one, and he hears the splash, and you could tell it's not my splash. And and I just turned around and said, "Got him." And
so he comes back, and it's sure enough like 20 inches long.
Perfect.
We met parameters, and so Jeremy, being the stand-up guy he is,
40-year-old.
Yep.
You'd think in 40 years he would have learned better.
It was his 40th birthday.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And so he presented the nipple, and we let that. And you got to realize when they're little like that, it's like having a puppy. Their teeth are
they got some for real little teeth,
super sharp, and it bit. And I figured it was just going to do the bite.
Nope.
No, that sucker bit and head shook.
He head shook,
and it looked like it hurt.
So
we end up prying. The muscles are strong going down. They're not very strong going up. So we could pry his beak off of Jeremy.
And I apologized to the alligator and let him go.
Yeah, give him a little kiss.
I'm like, sorry you had to go through that, buddy.
Yep. And then then the evening went along.
It did. He and Jeremy continued to partake, and he
had a little blood. It had a perfect like circular bite.
I think his BAC kept him bleeding for a while.
Yeah.
And
so the day went on and it ended.
We dropped him off. And he got to go take a nap.
So the next day we see him later in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And we were at work.
We were at work. We were at work, and he walked in, and he wasn't looking so good.
No, he's looking a little. He was looking a little. Well, one, the hangover hurt.
Yeah. Oh no, he was hurting.
But he was hurting, and we're like, "What hurts so bad?" And he pulled back his shirt, and it bit him so hard, his entire chest was bruised.
It was an infection.
Yeah.
It was already within just like 16 hours. It was infected, and pus was coming out of it. We're like,
yeah, it was like it was like flame hot. Like, you gotta go to the doctor.
You gotta go now and get some antibiotics, like for real now. And
yeah.
So
I don't advise watching the video. We were definitely talking in cursive at the time.
We were. Oh my Lord, that's back.
That's 7 years ago.
When we drank cheap whiskey and a lot of it. Yeah,
that's got to be one of my best ones. Just because, and he still talks to this day. He goes, I didn't think they could do it. I thought I gave him a weird parameter, and when all of a sudden he came sliding to a stop, I knew I was screwed.
Yeah. That was a good night. I totally forgot about that. Mm-hmm. Man, we've had so many of these great memories. It's hard to keep track of all of them.
And most importantly, for the fine folks at home and across the world that may not know the difference between an alligator and a crocodile, do you know the best way to tell them apart? It's how they say goodbye. An alligator will see you later, and a crocodile will see you after a while.
Yep. I wasn't going to set you up on it. I knew it was coming. Oh, man. So I got passionate about when I was a kid, because when you're a kid, it's one of those sports you can do, even if you're not going out pig hunting or deer hunting or anything by yourself, because you don't have a spot. Most people have a blowout or a levee or somewhere they can go and get frogs with and stuff. And
heck, you do it in, a retention pond in a neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. And my cousin, Steven, and another cousin, Larry and Greg,
Was there a Mo and Curly?
They're not, but they live in the beautiful, picturesque town of Bradley, Arkansas, right outside of Bloomberg, not too far from Doddridge. Yeah.
You say this like people don't know where it's
awesome. At. One person out there will know that. But it's about where the Red and Sulphur River meet. And there used to be a ferry that go across there, but now it's a bridge. But growing up, there couldn't have been a cooler place to go visit. And they had a place, we called it the Blowout. Mm-hmm. We put a little John boat in there, and we'd go out. And we did this till we got older, like beer drinking age. But we'd go out, and between there and they had this long levee that had a slough running down the side of it. We'd go out, and we'd get 30 or 40 frogs a night. Mm-hmm. And we were all about it.
It's a great place to catch snakes while you're at it, too.
Well, that one night. So what happened was...
So here we were.
we're walking down, and we had been going long, and we got one monster frog. We're like, man, it's going to be a good night. We're walking down, and right there on the right, we look down, and there is what you call a ball of a breeding group of diamondback water snakes.
Oh, there you go.
Big, gross, aggressive. And somehow we came up
And
with...
for those that don't know, they call it a ball because a bunch of them would get together and they all kind of intertwine into a ball.
Yeah, they're all breeding and having a party.
Yep.
So we caught a lot of them.
The frogs or the snakes?
The snakes.
There you go.
And put them in a pillowcase. And then we spent the rest of the night doing the same thing. And then the next morning, or that night, I guess, when we went to bed, and these kids aren't old, these 13, 14, 15-year-old kids, they're old enough, I'm old enough to know better. So I have...
young enough not to care.
Yeah, having Uncle Ricky. Uncle Ricky's the coolest person in the world, but being a country farm boy his whole life, not the type of guy you want to mess with. And we took all those snakes and put them in the back of his truck, like in everything. And he woke us up early that morning, and it wasn't appreciative.
Oh yeah, it was not a gentle "Hey, time to wake up." It was Arlie Ermy and Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, it was.
Get out of bed.
It was. It was awesome. And he's not afraid of snakes, but he wasn't appreciative. So we spent, 2 hours going through the back of that truck finding all these because it's a farm truck. It's got stuff in the back of it, right?
It's everywhere.
Yeah. But most of the really good frog stories somehow involve snakes.
Every time. I mean, most your water-based snakes, and even a lot of your terrestrial-based, like your cottonmouths and your diamondback water snakes, even they kind of, on both sides, they eat a frog. It's top part of their diet.
I was with Steven. Steven wasn't overly scared of snakes, but he was a little bit. He wasn't fond of them. And we'd been out in this John boat for hours. And I just happened to look like the way we're sitting, and I caught a weird angle right underneath his feet, and there's a little opening on the seat, and there is a giant diamondback water snake that's been just chilling there for hours since.
Because the snakes I don't know if they can smell them or sense them, or there's got to be a way, because I've had it more than one time that, maybe it's because we get up close to the bank and they can hear them or smell something. There's something that they'll just slip in.
Yeah.
And
well, we used to
give that snake and not know it.
When you get bored, that was the thing, is grabbing the diamondback water snakes because they'll sit there on top of the water with the head and just grab them, throw them in the boat, or throw them at your buddy, and do it all night. It's just, man, it sounds creepy and redneck, and it is, but God, it's fun. And then the alligators you got to contend with, and then there's the ever-present threat of the beaver.
Mark my words, there is nothing on God's green earth scarier than a beaver slap.
Oh, dear Lord.
So, and I've had this happen.
It's terrifying.
Many times. It just being in the woods at night, and if you're a place where beavers live, and for those that, we have people trying to get Antarctica, but they ain't come
No, they're not
yet.
listening.
But people all over the world listen to. So the way a beaver will warn the rest of its den that there's danger is they'll take that big tail and they'll slap the water as hard as they can. Makes this giant thunderclap of noise.
Imagine, your fat uncle doing the biggest belly flop he could. It's
Exactly.
Just pop.
But now imagine it's dark. It's dead calm. You're not expecting this giant explosion near you.
You're walking right next to the water and 5 feet away. Whop. And it'll make you soil yourself
in a hurry.
Yeah, and then God forbid you're out in the boat or something.
They'll come at you.
They're not as friendly as you think.
Cartoons have made them way cuddler than you would realize.
They're a little territorial, I guess might be the word, or they're just angry beavers. Nobody likes an angry beaver.
There's a whole cartoon about that.
There is, but it's all part of the adventure. So
for let's say that someone's tuned in and we've convinced them that frog gigging is the greatest thing that they haven't tried. How and where would you start?
So in Texas, there's a lot of public land that you could, if you were in Texas, there's places you could start. But man, I'll be honest with you, creeks are a fantastic place. If you got a buddy with a John boat or a P-row or anything, or you have creeks anywhere around your house where you can walk down the edges at night, it's a great place to start, to get them. The best thing you could do is if you can find a larger body of water that has some shallow spots around the edges. tall grass, that type of stuff, and then you either walk, like we said, or get on a boat and shine. Now for alligators, it's a little bit trickier.
Well, let's stay with frogs for a second.
Okay.
Do you like the handheld flashlight or the headlamp or a little both?
Both. So I like to wear the headlamp at all times, and then but
Do
I
you
like,
get a real bright one, or you go on the dimmer side?
I do the 3 t. Because I don't want to be blinding my buddy while I'm talking to him all night. But then when we come up on a frog, we're going to gig it or something. Whoever's not gigging is the one who's in charge of keeping the light in the eyes. So the gigger doesn't have a light. The guy who is the buddy in the boat has the light.
Do you like the Trident?
I like the old school. I still like the old,
or the spring.
the mechanical, the spring
See,
ones.
I like that one too because with the Trident, you're trying to have the spear to the ground. So if you don't get such a good hit on it, that grip, that claw action, grabs it for you.
Yep. No, it's
I'm the same way.
It's the way to go. And they're just cool. They're fun to set that spring. You can do it too.
And so then, do you throw them in a cooler, or you just bring like a pillow sack?
Nope, it's literally a pillow sack.
Yeah, that's the same way.
Yeah.
Because it sounds bad, but they're not always dead.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to sit there and smother, and you want a certain amount of.
Well, the problem with the cooler is you open it up, you got a good chance one might jump out. So with a pillowcase, you can negate that.
And then I get you there. My thing is, it almost looks like a semi-permeable membrane, you know. And they'll get kind of slimy in there. The water in the bottom of the boat, he'll kind of keep them clean. I feel like I get a better tasting frog out of a pillow sack than I do a cooler. It may be 100% in my head, but I feel like I do.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. So I like that, and for the light. And then if we're shooting them, that's a different story. But but if I were going to start, if you're in Texas, if you're new, we got so many people new to Texas. Really, it's don't be shy about going and looking on Google Earth or stuff like that. See big bodies of water or something. Figure out who owns it, how to get access to it, and that's it. Because here's the thing, as you could probably tell from what we've talked about so far, not a lot of people do this. It's not everybody's cup of tea.
Nope.
It's a heck of an adventure. Don't get me wrong. It's the most fun you can have out there, but it's a little sketchy.
It's a lot of sketchy.
It's a lot of sketchy, but it's
the good kind of sketchy, though.
Yeah,
it's fun sketchy.
It's just fun, and make sure you take a buddy because that's what makes it, right? Because you get these stories about letting alligators bite titties and stuff like that
every time. And speaking of alligators, they're a whole different ball of wax just because they are regulated on the federal side as well.
Yeah,
and so at least in Texas
has weird.
Texas is very weird over the alligators, especially for the minis we have. So there's 2 different seasons. So Texas has come out. I don't have my outdoor annual on me, but they have what are called core and non-core counties. If you're in a core county, and they're listed in the outdoor annual, the season's in the fall. If you're a non-core county, which we're in Grimes County, we're a non-core. It starts in April, runs through June.
Yep.
And Texas has very specific laws over how and where you can, and they don't really let a lot of public. If you have private land that touches public water, you can hunt from your private land, but you just can't go hop on any river or bayou and
not
get
without
after
some very special harvesting permits and stuff like that, commercial permits.
And the main thing too, a lot of people don't realize this is that there is a tag. You have to get a tag for every alligator you harvest. It's free. It's the only tag in Texas you get after the fact. It's known as a CITES tag. It's an acronym for something I can't remember at the moment. But is a metal tag that you just go down to your local Parks and Wildlife office and they'll give it to you. And you have to put it on the hide of the alligator if you're going to keep it. It's a federal tracking thing.
It's weird. Yeah.
Oh, actually.
Yeah. It's weird, but
the main thing is
the way to do it. So
before you get after the alligator, and I highly advise doing it because there's some really fun ways and they're great times. I love alligator hunting. But read the rules because you can kind of get yourself jammed up kind of quick.
The way I would suggest it, and just kind of like every other hunting trip we go on, whether it's mule deer or elk or bear or whatever,
go somebody first.
Go with a guide. The first couple of times, and you'll figure it out.
Because there's some tricks the way how you can't just go get like a chunk of chicken breast and put it on a hook.
No,
you gotta have to let it. There's some ways you can let it get kind of rotten, kind of rank that helps pull them. How you set the hooks up. How you set your limb lines, how high,
where to go. And here's the cool thing about alligator, especially in Texas, you can get what anybody would consider a trophy alligator for a reasonable price, compared to going after a trophy of any other species. You could go out and, depending on where you go and the guide and everything, let's say $2,000 all in, you're leaving with a 13+ foot long alligator, potentially. Now, obviously, they can't guarantee which one you're going to pull out of the water, as with anything.
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with a good 6 to 8 foot, because that's average. So if you're going to put alligator, let's put it in deer terms. 6 to 8 foot is what I would call.
6 to 8 is
like about a 150, 160 class.
6 to 8 is average. 13, some people might say is too much.
It's a monster. Yeah. I was there one time and it was just it was like 13.5 or something.
Yeah,
and it's just.
I didn't even know they got that big.
Yeah, they're gigantic.
Wow. Well, I mean, I did, but
it's very rarely.
Yeah. And the smaller ones, they have more energy. They fight a little more. Mm-hmm. So the bigger ones are a little lethargic.
And if you're going to eat them, kind of like a pig, the smaller ones taste better.
Oh yeah. And they can live to be those big ones you're looking at, the 13 foot plus foot. They're I was being cheeky a minute ago. That's why I know how. I think the record's 19 feet 2 inches. Mm-hmm. But the
biggest one ever taken in Texas was off of Chow Canyon.
Really. Mm-hmm. And but they'd be 100 years old, 80 to 100 years old. It's wild. But for, like I said, $1,500, $2,000, you're getting a trophy, a real trophy.
One of my favorite parts about alligators, if you ever hear them, I won't call it a chuckle, but they kind of do like a growl. Mm-hmm. And
the ultrasonic vibrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could imagine what a T-Rex sounds like, this sounds like that.
It's cool. Have you ever watched them do it in the water? Mm-hmm. The big males, they'll put their head up, and it vibrates from inside of them and comes out, and the whole water just trembles.
Most of the time, they just hiss at you.
Yeah. We used to do such stupid stuff. My favorite, we had a tube that went under Tamiami Trail at a culvert, and there was a big female alligator in there, and it was we wanted to go from one side of the park where we were working at to the other, and one of for the new hires and stuff is you had to go through the tube, get to the other side, somehow. And everybody did. It was like a rite of passage. The other one is we had these little canals that went around the island, a hammock, and you had to take a kayak, and you had to kayak around the island, the hammock, but there was a female that had a nest right there. Hyper aggressive.
Yeah, very territorial.
And you had to make it past the nest without getting eaten. And
paddle faster.
Oh my God, it was fun. And we'd figure out real quick if somebody was gonna work out there or not. It was good times. Good times.
So what's your favorite way to eat alligator?
Sashimi? No, absolutely not. Don't try that. You'll die.
I'm about to say. Bold move there, Cotton.
I would have said fried for a long time. But after our Thanksgiving meal with the bacon wrapped on the barbecue pit, I'm going barbecued.
See, I like to take so the tail kind of looks like it's probably is just an elongated spine, really, because there's 4 quadrants to it, and you just cut each quadrant out, kind of like 4 little back straps. I like to take little medallions, kind of like you would almost to like what looks like in a pan, like a where they starts with an S, scallop, where they kind of look like and put a little like Cajun seasoning on it, and then I'll pan fry it on one side and then the other, and then
I'm a little afraid of that because I've had undercooked alligator and it's horrible. It's the worst taste in the world.
Well, that's why I got one of those little thermometer things.
Yeah,
because you can overcook alligator and it's horrible like that.
Yeah, it's chewy.
Yeah, dang sure don't want to eat undercooked alligator. No, it got to be worse for you than chicken. I don't know what they carry, but it's got to be bad.
Yeah, they got all the bacteria.
Yeah,
and
ask Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. Poor guy. Love him. Such a good dude. Oh, but if you're interested in this stuff, if you got any questions or anything, I mean,
that's what we're here for.
We got an hour. We don't have all the time in the world to tell every story, and some of them probably aren't fit for radio and could be self-incriminating. So they're not going to be told. But if you come by the store, I'll tell you about them
every time.
Yeah.
And see, that's one of the big things I like to tell folks that because we are a gun store, You know, that's our bread and butter. But we are red-blooded American country boys that are, you know, into just about everything. So if you ever have like, hey, I want to try this, or I saw a buddy talk about, or heard a buddy talk about this, come talk to us. I mean, we are always happy to share stories, share plans, tactics, ideas, stuff that's worked for us, stuff that didn't work for us. You know, we're trying to be that one-stop shop for all things outdoors for you.
Yeah. And truth be told, if you really want to get into it, find a friend. Don't necessarily have to. I tell you what you can do. You find a big body of water, Toledo Bend, something like that. You cruise around the edges of it until you see a John boat without a motor, and at least one car up on blocks and some pit bulls. And very carefully knock on that person's front door, and they're going to teach you all about it.
Everything you need to know. If he's got more than 5 teeth, it's the wrong guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I'll pick on it, guys. I'm one of them. It is so much fun. It is a full-blown adrenaline rush. It's all about the camaraderie. It's kind of like dove hunting, and
it's a break from the monotony. It's different. That's the fun thing.
And there's always just that little element of danger that makes it hilarious.
Yeah. Is that a stick or a cottonmouth? We'll see.
That's it. And the people are jumpy because it is nighttime, and there are alligators, there are poisonous snakes, and it just makes it more exciting.
Always a good time.
Oh, all right. Well, like Jake said, if y'all have any questions, if y'all want to know anything more about it, that's what we do. We really enjoy talking about this stuff. We're passionate about it. That's how we got into the business that we're in. We're blessed, and we love every minute of it. Thank y'all so much for listening.
We couldn't do it without you.
No, we really, really appreciate it. As he said at the beginning of the podcast, if you get an opportunity, hit that like and subscribe button. Tell your friends and stuff. Come by and see us, like in the stores where the magic happens.
This is us. This is not a character. This is not for TV or the radio or, I don't know, satellite internet, whatever this is.
Yeah. Nobody paid to see this.
No. But this is us. We're here day in, day out. The same goofy selves, same dumb stories.
And
it's fun.
If you're out there, we were looking at the demographics where everybody's coming from, and Asia, Australia,
if you're not,
South America.
If you're outside the U.S. or North America, shoot us a message.
Yeah, hey, we'd love to hear from you. And what you like about the show.
Yeah, what's got you listening to us? Because it's got to be completely different than what's happening in South Vietnam.
Where you'd think maybe, I don't know, South Vietnam. Do y'all have bullfrogs? Maybe you do.
Got to.
I mean, yeah, they very well. They got all the rice paddies and stuff. It'd be kind of like Louisiana. You'd think they'd have to. Yeah. If you do, let us know.
Let us know.
And if anybody's planning on taking a damn trip to Antarctica, that's the one continent that's not listening.
Will you please
just go down there just for 2 seconds?
One download. That's all I need so we can check off 7 to 7.
Oh, it's frustrating. That's just something we haven't been able to break into yet.
Tell them about us.
Exactly.
That's what we're here for.
Guys, y'all have a great week. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
If you're on the secret sub base, give us a like. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Circle Star Firearms and Outdoors podcast with your hosts Jake Coffin and Jason Westmoreland. Be sure and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. New episodes drop every Monday, and catch up in between episodes on the Circle Star Minute every Friday. For more information, visit CircleStarFirearms.com, or better yet, come see our great new store at 6320 Highway 90 in Anderson, Texas. Until next time, safe shooting, folks.